Yes, sir. Okay. I started, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are all ready for a thought-provoking and enlightening session. We are honored to have distinguished individual with us today. Today's speaker is Dr. Jyotsna Kumar Mandal, sir. Dr. Jyotsna Kumar Mandal, M.Tech in Computer Science from University of Calcutta in 1987. Award PhD Engineering in Computer Science and Engineering by Jadavpur University 2000. Working as Professor of Computer Science and Engineering University of Kalyani. Former Vice Chancellor Raiganj University, West Bengal, former Dean, Faculty of Engineering, Technology and Management, Kalyani University for 2 terms during 2008 to 2012. Former Director, IQAC and Chairman, CIRM Kalyani University, served as Professor, Computer Application, Kalyani Government Engineering College for 2 years. He was Associate Professor, Computer Science for 8 years and at North Bengal University and Assistant Professor, Computer Science, North Bengal University for 7 years. He also served as lecturer at NERIST Itanagar for 1 year. 36 years teaching and research experience in coding theory, data and network security, and authentication, remote sensing, and GIS-based application, data compression, error correction, steganography. Award 30 PhD degree and 8 pursuing, supervised 3 MPhil, more than 80 MTech and more than 130 MCA dissertation. Guest editors of MST journals, SCI index of Spinger, published more than 450 research articles, out of which 200 article is in international journals. Published 12 book from Springer, LAP Germany, IGI Global, etc. Recently has published a textbook on reversible steganography and authentication via transform encoding from Springer. This book has been translated into Chinese language, republished from China by the Springer. Organized more than 60 international conference and corresponding editors of edit volume and conference publication of Springer and edit 60 volume as a volume editor. He has complete 5 research project from which grant received from AICT and Government of West Bengal. He served as Secretary and Chairman IETE Kolkata Center, Governance Council members of IETE, Chairman CSI Kolkata chapter and CSI singular chapters, peer team members of NAC accreditation process, expert members of AICTE, conduct academic audit of various university and institute. ISO annual meeting 2023 hosted by the Standard Australian in hybrid mode, highest number of 203 Scopus based journal publication in last 10 years among all faculty members, 220 of the University of Kalyani during the 2013 to 2022. For SCI, SSCI publication till date 2023 with 2 publications of impact factor more than 5, highest impact factor 6. Total impact factor of those publications is 15.677 QR pipeline. Impact factor of 5 best publication is 21.5.77 with highest impact factor 8.5. Out of them, 2 are of impact factor more than 7. Impact factor of 10 best publication is 41.577 with highest impact factor 8.5. Out of them, 4 are the impact factor more than 5. Total SSCI publication in last six year is 41. We are fortunate to have them share their insight with us. Now I request Dr. Jyotsna Kumar Mandal sir to start the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much for nice introduction. So let me share my screen. My slide are visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for giving me opportunity to interact with the participants from various institutes. So today, my talk will be distributed in two ways. In the first phase, I will go for a novel architecture for confidence-based learning. So nowadays, we are always using some e-learning platform, e-learning tools, e-learning materials. So how do I ensure confidence there? And towards the end, I shall go for evaluation, assessment, evaluation, and grading, how we can go for it, AIML based system. So in this particular slide, we have the agenda like that. We have some introductory comments, objective, the proposal for learning object design, is a 2D assessment technique, assessment from the world of work, the prescription of content. That means we shall go for prescribing the content based on the lacuna and need of the learner. Then mapping to the authentic learning, the proposed design, then conclusion, some acknowledgement and publication. So technology-enabled learning leads to a flexible learning environment. Because you see that I can learn anything with my own credibility, and the material is provided through some portal. So your technology help in a better outcome-based learning. Now, learning possible in synchronous and asynchronous time domain both. That means I can go for synchronous learning and I can go for asynchronous learning. So it enhances the skill and skill gap analysis. So mostly we are using the electronic and web-based system, and these are called the e-learning. Particularly after COVID-19, the environment has high impact on society due to lockdown, and the presently we are in nascent stage of this confidence-based learning, not e-learning. So in confidence-based learning, we are in the nascent stage. So when we are talking about the technology-enabled learning, it addresses in three domains. So we mostly talk about the cognitive and adaptive domain. So, and there are another domain which is called the psychomotor. And when I'm talking about a cognitive domain, so this cognitive domain has 6 components. It starts from the base at knowledge, then we have the comprehension, we have application, we have synthesis, we have evaluation at the top. And you see that out of these 6, so lower 2 is your, that means knowledge and comprehension. These are called the surface learning. That means you have some knowledge, you have some comprehension. That learning is called the surface learning. And if you go for application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation, this learning is called the deep learning. So we can define in both surface learning and deep learning. So the learning approach is basically categorized in deep and surface. So in terms of confidence-based learning, it is a new research area in teaching and learning system, particularly in online-based learning system. And this is proposed by a group of social scientists. That means Darwin Hunt, Theodore Lee Clay, Amy Seffold, and James E. Bruno. So it handles the knowledge and confidence in the knowledge domain. And it requires a two-dimensional assessment mechanism. So I shall come into that. What is two-dimensional assessment mechanism? And it used to customize the learning content. What is needed for me? It used to find out the lacuna of my reading and the knowledge. And it will prescribe the learning customized content based on 2D assessment. So definitely prior to that, we used to go for the diagnosis of deficiency. So if we think of the confidence-based learning, these are consists of 3 phases. The first phase is your called the diagnose, second phase is prescribe, and third phase is learning. That means it's a cascaded manner. You are diagnosing the deficiency, and then you are prescribing some content based on the deficiency. Suppose I am going for a C or C++ or some language. Now, what is the deficiency in my learning? That means, is there any deficiency in variable declaration, memory allocation, or loop? So based on that, it will prescribe the content, and then you will learn. Then again, it's an iterative method. I'll show you some case study. So, and we used to say that if mastery is occur, then only it will complete. Otherwise, it will not be completed. And that is the meaning of confidence-based learning. That means I have learned something and I have given some examinations or I have given some evaluation and I have got some certificates. No, that is not under the confidence-based learning, or is called the CBL. So the diagnosis phase is consisting of the confidence-based assessment and deficiency diagnosis. Your diagnosis phase. And your prescribed phase customize a learning plan. Learning plan based on your deficiency diagnosis. And your learning phase help in learning. So his the objective is to go for a comprehensive structure of content then that can be used dynamically. A robust assessment mechanism with knowledge and its application. And diagnosis of deficiency in real world assignment, and prescription of content for augmentation of your knowledge, and management of knowledge and skill set that take help to take the decision, and monitoring mechanism of learner at all phases, mapping content to authentic learning, and a comprehensive framework for the all. That is my way of deliberating the talk. So what is the problem definition? The problem definitions of this context required an augmented 2D assessment, which is absent in conventional CVL. The measurement of precise knowledge and confidence factor. And then you are going for identification of deficiencies both in the classroom environment and from the world of work, which is called the technology enabled learning, or which I can say that authentic learning. So definitely to achieve this goal, we need the customized learning content. And what is the major challenge for it? The major challenge for the same is to give the automated customized learning and lesson plans. So now, how do we achieve this? To achieve this, we go for sorry, design and development of learning objects, which is called the LO, and deployment of 2D assessment technique for a typical learner. It differs from learner X to learner Y. And assessment of learner from day-to-day activities, such as world of work by inclusion of data using learning record store, that means LRS. I'll come to that LRS. So you are going to prescribe the content with micro level granularity by decomposing the IO into tasks and call the ACs. And also we are generating the dependencies of ACs and task. That means IO, task, and ACs, and designing of monitoring method of a learner in different iterative level. So, and we are incorporating the authentic learning in a CBL systems, in HR management. And finally, we shall go for a proposal for augmented confidence-based learning. That means the normal confidence-based learning has some lacuna. So to overcome this lacuna, so you see this ACBL, that means augmented confidence-based learning. This is the structure. The structure contains that we have some 2D assessment to identify the deficiencies. So it is not the assessment or evaluation in normal case. It is to prescribe the content. And then it goes for diagnose phase. So under this diagnose phase, we have the confidence-based assessment and deficiency diagnosis. So how we can achieve it? So then we can go for update. So that's why you see the arrows are there in the update phase from diagnose, where we are prescribing the content and the learner used to learn. So when it is being updated and when the learner used to learn, definitely I have to keep some trace whether there is a positive increment or a negative increment. or decrement, I should say. So how do you keep it? That means we used to keep this track in terms of LRAs, called learning records tool. That means how the candidate has learned, how he has generated the concept. So to do this, we go for a structure of learning object. So the structure of learning object will be there, but dissemination of the learning object to a particular learner will be different. And that will be based on the diagnosis of the deficiencies, which is called the DD, or deficiency diagnosis. And another thing we are going for, that your dependency structure matrix, or management of the dependency structure in terms of learning, in terms of ACs. So these go for authentic learning. So this is the proposal of the model. So if we go for it, so now let us consider the components in different way. First is your learning object. What is your learning object? So chunk of learning content developed using conventional tool and techniques is insufficient. That means which object is required for a particular learner, that has to be thought of based on the lacuna of a particular learner. So the subject matter analysis are performed and the content based on IO are required. So this chunk of content is known as the learning object. So what is the primary objective? The primary objective is to design a content from LOs that will be efficient, effective, and emphatically relevant in the world of work. So methodology is designed in such a way that your instructional object IOs are divided into set of tasks T containing several tasks T1, T2, T3, Tn. That means a task is subdivided into smaller element T1, T2, Tn. Then we used to go for dependency analysis of the task. So there may be some tasks, those are independent. There are some tasks that are dependent on another task. There may be some tasks which depend on multiple tasks. And there may be a multi-level and transitive dependency. X depend Y, Y depend Z, or T1 depend T2, T2 depend on T3 or Tn. So that is the analysis of the non-overlapping task. That means we are dividing the task into overlapping and non-overlapping task. So now we have to go for the dependency analysis of overlapping task also. So how this overlapping task we can consider that it may be a partial overlapping task. It's a partial overlapping task that are dependent on other tasks. Partial overlapping task will again multi-level dependency. So I think this structure will show you how we can go for it. Dependency. You see, these are some independent tasks T1, T2, T3, T4. So tasks are T1, T2, T3, T4. Suppose we have taken that as for example. And these are IOs. One IO I am thinking of. That one IO has 4 tasks. Now, if 4 tasks all are independent, now I can execute them independently. Now, the set of tasks T consisting of T1 to T4 with single dependency. That means T1 depend on T3, T2 depend on T4. That is called the singular dependency. Again, there may be multiple dependent tasks. Here you see T3 is depending on T1 and T2 both. So now again you see that the set of tasks T consisting of T1, T4 with T2. So T1 is depending on T2, T1 is depending on T3, and T4 is independent. Again, there may be a situation that multi-level dependencies. That means you see that T1 is depending on T2 and T2 is depending on T3. That means intransitively T1 is depending on T3. So multi-level dependency of task, where task T2 is dependent on T1 and T3 on T2. But again, T4 is independent here. But you see in the previous slide, here all tasks T1, T2, T3, T4, there is no overlapping on the task. But let's see the slide here. That means overlapping tasks. There may be some overlapping tasks. You see that T1 overlap with T2. So T4, T5 and T3, these three are overlap each other. But T1 is not overlapping with T3 or T4. So it is called a partial overlapping of task. T1 to T5 here we have drawn. So then dependency on non-overlapping task. Here you see that T3 is not overlapped with T1. So it is non-overlapping task. But there is a overlapping of T3 and T2, T1 and T2. So, but there is a dependency between T2 and T4. But T4 has a overlap with T5 and T3 both. So definitely, when we are talking about all these things, we are, sorry. So you see that now when we go for the dependency on overlapping and non-overlapping both, that means in this instructional object here, you see these are non-overlapping, but these two are overlapping. So again, multi-level dependency of overlapping task. You see this task is dependent on here, and this is dependent on here, and this is dependent here. You see here overlapping is there, but these two are not overlapped. So based on all of this situation, we are going for a mathematical model. That means the task or the instructional objective IOX is divided into tasks Ti, where T1, T2, Tn is belong to the set of task T. And then for a typical learner K, normally in a mathematical model, here MCQs are chosen randomly. It is not evaluating the learner. It is evaluating the learner to give or prescribe the proper content. That is called the confidence-based learning, and that is under the purview of confidence-based learning. That is how much confidence you are generating. So the MCQ will be used for identification of the deficiencies. And each MCQ is used for the deficiencies and mapped into the task TI. And the confidence level CLKI for each individual MCQ has to be mapped to each individual task actively in TI in a particular LO. And the value of CLKI can be defined as the confidence level of the individual learner with respect to that particular task TI. So your K greater than equal to 1 and less than equal to M. M is the maximum number of learners supported by the system. And this is the final mathematical model for that. LOK I equal to 1, J equal to 1, N 0 to 6, whatever may be, can be changed. FTI, LIJ, CLKIJ. So this is a general mathematical model that when you have defining the deficiencies or generating the deficiencies and you are prescribing the task based on the deficiency, not a general content or not a general normal instructional object. So the procedure that there is a set of question for a learner K from item bank. For each question QP belongs to QK. And the output is the average level of confidence CLI, the current status of the learner of the individual task. There may be a mastery, there may be misconception. So based on that, we are prescribing the learning object. So I am just keeping this. It's some problem. Yeah. So you see, these are some of the parameters. Your individual question is the input, set of question is input, item bank is your input, and CLI, this average level of confidence you are generating for an individual learner K, which is your output. And LAI is the learning approach for the complete task TI, which is intermediate. Lab learning approach for the applied item. And SLC is the surface learning. And DLC is the deep learning. So we have defined in the pyramid structure that whether the candidate is perceive the surface learning or deep learning, that is in intermediate stage, before achieving the mastery in terms of learning. That is your confidence-based learning. So you see that what will be the novel framework for a learning object? You see that whether the learner is required to have a deep or surface learning approach, whether the learner is required to go through superficial learning or detailed learning, and whether the learner is improving or diminishing trend. I am prescribing the content. Learner has learned, but deficiencies are increasing. But our motto should be the deficiency should be decreasing, and at end, it will reach the mastery. So, you see, the design and development of learning object. The framework is introduced as follows. That LO is classified into 5 subcategories. That concept, terminologies or taxonomy, extra knowledge, some example, then assessment, and prerequisite. So this is the schematic diagram of the designing methodology of the learning object framework. You see, in a prerequisite, what you will give? You will give some media object, text or audio. Then you go to the concept, terminologies and taxonomies. Again, you are going for the media object, audio, image, animation, video, whatever may be, because you are prescribing the learning object. Extra knowledge or references, that is also media object, text, audio, image, animation or video. Then examples. Some example you are giving in terms through your media object, text, audio or video. Then assessment from the item bank. That means you have a media of item bank, you are prescribing the questions from there, and you are measuring the confidence level of a particular learning object. So let us consider a very typical case studies. A performance analysis of an individual learner has been provided through a case studies in stepwise development, so that I can arrange for your visualization of the domain. You see, the learner is initialized, evaluated with 20 number of MCQ questions, given in set QP and randomly chosen from the item bank IB. Each MCQ in the set QP is associated with a level of knowledge in the pyramid, typically in the range of 1 to 6. So you have seen that pyramid of the knowledge. And then the assessment is typically done. Suppose here is a case study with 4 tasks, T1 to T4. And the performance of the learner through 5 iterations. I am showing the 5 iterations, so which he took to reach the mastery of all 4 tasks. If the mastery of a task is achieved, so no need of prescribe any more content of that particular task. So the performance of the learner through 5 iterations is given A to E. You see, first table A. The status of a learner through first iteration. You see, we have the task T1, T2, T3, T4. So you see, after first iteration, the status of T1 is doubt. And what is learning assessment? It is a surface learning. And what is the component of the learning object? You add the concept, terminologies, and taxonomies. So T2 also same, doubt. But what is the learning assessment? It was a deep learning. You add concept, terminologies, and taxonomies if you have a doubt. Then T3 also doubt. It was a surface learning. You add concept, terminologies, and taxonomies to the yellow. In T4, it is ignorant. It was deep learning. As it was ignorant, you add extra knowledge of reference, example, and assessment to yellows. So this is the output of the first iteration after prescribing the learning object and going for MCQ, generating the questions from the item bank, prescribe the questions, getting the answer, and from the answer. Now you may have one question, that how can I say that suppose one answer is correct answer, whether it is guess or not. I'll come to that. We are prescribing for some different methodology here. We shall go for it. Let's see here. Suppose table B. So after second iteration, what is happening? T1 is doubt. That is again, it is a surface learning. So add concept, terminologies, and taxonomies to yellow. Then T2, he has had mastery. That means he has got the mastery. So no learning activities are needed. So no learning content is required because he has reached the mastery. I am coming to the quadrant of the mastery, how we can define the various quadrant of that. In T3, we have the doubt again. It is a surface learning. I have found. So you add the concept, add the terminologies, add the taxonomies to the yellows. Then T4, again it is ignorant. Definitely you have to give again the extra knowledge reference, example, and assessment to yellows. Now let's consider the third iteration. You see that the task T2 has already reached to the mastery. So again, it is not applicable. But T1 has a doubt. T3 has a doubt. Now T4 has improved to a doubt. So you add the concept terminology for T1. No learning content is required for T2. T3, add concept and terminologies, taxonomies to yellow. T4, add concept terminologies, not extra content. You see in the previous slide, it was that extra knowledge reference, examples, and assessment to allows. But here you see we are adding some concept, we are adding some terminologies, we are adding taxonomies or extra knowledge, the reference to the allow in third iteration. But the candidate has achieved the mastery in T2. Now let us go to the fourth iteration. In fourth iteration, the task T1 has achieved in the mastery stage, T2 also. So for T1 and T2, no learning content is required. But you see that T3 and T4 has doubt. And T3 is in surface learning stage and T4 is in deep learning stage. So I've identified this lacuna. So in T3, you add the concept, terminologies and taxonomies. And in T4, you add the concept, taxonomy and extra knowledge in reference to the LO. Go to the fourth iteration. Here, both mastery and doubt. And in fifth iteration, you see that all tasks achieved by the learner into a stage of mastery. So no learning content is required. LA is not applicable. And the candidate or the learner has achieved the mastery of this learning object, where we have the four tasks T1, T2, T3, and T4. So I think I'm able to make you understand that how this confidence-based learning used to work in the world of work and in the physical world of e-learning converted to a confidence-based learning. So this is the performance of a learner in various iterations. It has been implemented, and you see the graphs are showing that particular things. That in y-axis, you see status showing the knowledge and confidence level. Here you see that confidence level reach 2.5. That means we are talking about that critical parameter or threshold, that is mastery. And you have the iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3, iteration 4, and iteration 5. So here we have some various critical parameter. I'm not going into details of analyzing all the parameter. That is not possible, and that is very difficult to understand in all at a stage. It will take a lot of time. So this in reference, I'm talking this reference to one of our PhD thesis of my scholar, already awarded PhD. So we are working on this e-learning, confidence-based learning and confidence-based assessment. So some of the scholars in my lab, they are working. This is one of the thesis already awarded. Some of the work from here, it is given there. So you see that we have mapped the task T1 to T4. That you see that T1 and T3, it is a surface learning, and T2 and T4, it's a deep learning. This is the mapping of the task in learning quadrant. And you see that what was the existing systems in 84 and what? This is one of our research proposal, that format of a structure LO is available. Earlier it was not available. The content based on IO, it is a comprehensively proposed based on IO. It was a feeble approach. Now decomposition of IO, it was not there. But we have decomposed the IOs into finite number of tasks in a set. And the analysis of the dependency and interdependency structure was not considered earlier, but we have considered in this LO design. Here, your dependencies, interdependency of the task are well considered and represented using various tabular pictorial form. and support for various learning approach that was not available, but we have made. That means support is very important. Now, you see that whatever we have discussed that the to access the lacuna of a typical learner, we have gone for a conventional mechanism of MCQ, which fails to identify the limitations and lacuna in higher level of knowledge pyramid. That is in terms of application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. That means in terms of the deep learning. But it can satisfy the surface learning only. Secondly, it cannot identify the quality of the knowledge in the knowledge pyramid. In terms of Bloom's taxonomy, the 6 stages are to be considered. Nowadays, we are very much concerned about your program outcome and course objective. Particularly the NBA and NAC, we are considering that, whether we are considering that or not. So in that context, these are very, very important parameter. So if certainty-based marking, that means CBM, is used to add the level of confidence, so the guesswork is hampering unbiased assessment. This one. Third one, it cannot provide the information to the CBL system whether an individual will act or not, depending on a particular situation. So MCQ does not have capability of that. Finally, it cannot provide the information about the content. A learner is required to develop the confidence or his level of confidence. So these are the some of the lacunas existing in assessment model when we are talking about the mechanism of MCQ. That means your MCQ fails to identify the limitations and lacunas of deep learning. And then comes to the confidence-based assessment. Confidence-based assessment for what? This is to prescribe, to identify the lacuna, to identify the level of confidence. It is the confidence-based assessment. It is not the normal assessment. Based on this, we shall prescribe the learning module or the LOs. So there is a requirement of identification of the status of a typical learner in one of the 4 quadrants of the knowledge. Let's see the figure now. This is called the knowledge quadrant. You see, in y-axis, we have the confidence, and x-axis, we have the knowledge. You see that we have the mistake or misinformed, we have the smart mastery, what is called the smart action, we have uninformed, what is called the paralysis, and we have the hesitation, which is called the doubt. So we can define 4 knowledge quadrant, which is called the level of confidence. If the level of confidence is called the mastery, then smart action you have to take that no need of prescribe any more learning content or LOs. So we have posted using 4 different colors. So based on this, a 2D assessment techniques can be given to the learner. So we were going for MCQ based assessment. Now we are going for 2D assessment technique. So this work was done in 2016. This helps to identify the deficiencies of a typical learner in terms of the confidence level. It focuses the assessment using MCQ items led to CBA and diagnosis of the deficiency. So whether a typical learner has the full confidence or partial confidence, that is being taken care of. And each of the MCQ is associated with a particular task in an instructional object. So this is the structure of 2D assessment technique with full and partial confidence level. When I am talking about
आवाज नहीं आ रहा सर। सर आपका आवाज नहीं आ रहा सर।
Sir, your voice is cut now. Hello. Your presentation is seen, but your voice is not getting. There is some problem with your voice facility.
टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम।
Hello, sir. Hello. Hello. Still voice is not coming, sir. Your presentation is also stopped, sir. Please kindly note. Hello.
हा सर त्यांना फोन केला सरांना करतो मध्ये सर टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लेम
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
येस सर येस
Oh, maybe some problem in the net and then it has been disconnected. And I was talking, I don't know up to which I have talked.
ओके सर नो प्रॉब्लेम
Okay, I'm just starting again. My content. So let us consider from here again that when we are talking about the learning source or LRS, learning record store, so we are mining the information and we are going for performance appraisal from the record store in terms of the feedback. That means I am going to enhance my diagnosis phase, including the LRS. We have the confidence based assessment, where we are diagnosis of the deficiencies by identification of the critical gap during the job of the assessment. So this is the algorithm, that outcome of the 2D assessment using LRS and based on data mining.
सर
We can use EIML here also.
सर आपकी पीपीटी नहीं दिख रही सर यहाँ पे
Okay, then again I have to share. So it's telling that only the host can share this meeting. Please make the sharing option on.
सर अभी शेयर कीजिए.
Okay. Yeah. It is visible now?
हाँ yes sir, yes sir.
Okay, okay, I'm going. This is the technological problem. We cannot avoid that. Yeah. So, you see, when we are talking about the enhanced diagnosis phase, including LRS, that means you have a confidence-based assessment which identifies the critical gap during the assessment through the diagnosis of the deficiency by identifying the critical gap during on-job assessment of the continuous evaluation using the LRS. So, what is the output? The comprehensive set of deficiencies and the lacunas, where we are analyzing the 2D assessment based on the instructional object in the domain and using the input provided by the LRS for analysis of the deficiencies. And critically, analysis for the identifiable skill. And it is being posted on 4th quadrant of the knowledge. So, it is incorporating the system, the real world problem based assessment. And it's using a good data mining technique or AIML based decision making system for diagnosis of the deficiency. And the proposed system uses the data mining using LRS in conjunction with LRS to achieve better deficiency. So I can go for modeling of the content or prescription of the content with more micro level granularity through LRS. And to go for granularity, we are going for distributing or dividing our task in further to decompose into AC, which is called the atomic competencies. So higher granularity is closer to the lacuna of a learner. And based on that, we are defining a dependency structure matrix. It's very important. DSM is very important for the ACs provided so that the systematic content modeling may be easier. What is the need for DSM? You see, it may happen that if there is no proper documentation about the dependency, it may lead to a deadlock situation. Because sequence of learning activity for each AC cannot be ascertained by the system. So dependency is to be defined properly. You see, even you see when I have an IO, then we have various tasks. Then now I am going for another level of dividing the task into granular atomic competencies, ACs, and how these ACs are defining a dependency structure matrix is defined, DSM, for the task and ACs. You see that this is one example for that. So, based on task for an IOs, we are generating the dependencies. You identify AC, IJ to prepare the dependency structure and granularity level. And you just map into them into your doubt, ignorant, misconception, or mastery. So then, definitely the above procedure will be modified. So just I'm skipping these slides. Then again, we are monitoring using each iterations. That means performance. How we are monitoring? I can monitor. Earlier, we could not monitor because there was no LRS. There was no record store that earlier he has got better or 2.5 or 2.6. Now he is getting 2.7 or he is getting 2.1. Whether his performance is increasing or decreasing. That means using the mining technique and using the LRS, I can monitor these things in each iteration. And ultimately, it will go up, go down or up, go down or up. It is going down, then you have to prescribe that type of content. If you go up, it will prescribe some other type of content. That means you can define the ACs in a tree. Now we are defining a K-array tree along with dynamic Hofmann algorithm. That means if it is going up or root of the tree, that means it's reaching to the mastery. And if it is intermediate test, where we have to give emphasis, where is to give more emphasis, that can be done. Here you see that this is the proposed yellow structure using IO and ACs and the probability of confidence level. So we are going for using the Hofmann algorithm for defining the tree structure of the atomic confidence level. That is very important here, you see, so that we can monitor it. If it is stored into the LRS, now I can give that. Earlier it was 0.334, now it is 0.693. That means this AC14 has gone up. That means the confidence level of the learner of this AC is going upward directions toward mastery. So I will prescribe that type of content. So these are the algorithm. I'm not going into that algorithm. So here we are going for optimizing the system using Hofmann algorithm and modified technique. And it eliminates the involvement of human expert. No need of keeping the record store with some data. Here, the Hofmann tree will be generated automatically based on the values. You generate the probability values and you generate the tree automatically. Regenerate the tree automatically. So, it will reduce the amount of storage and the convenience level of your implementation of the confidence level and the mining technique. So now let us consider the authentic learning in some way. CBL is a learning methodology that well suited for professional, and it is more inclined towards the world of work. So the development of knowledge and skill component is required here. So in authentic learning, CBL must be well connected. You see, if we go for a real world of problem, and that is mapped to the confidence-based learning, So AL is an integral part of CVL in the world of work. And you see that in the world of work, we are also defining various levels of dependencies. You see, non-dependent AC, direct dependent AC, transitively dependent related AC, and fully dependent ACs. And these are being divided NDAC, DDAC, TRAC, and FDAC in four quadrant of this 1, 2, 3, 4. You see, all are given here. That means based on which we can go for more granularity of the task. And from here, we are going for a more randomized system using nonlinear dynamics. Which nonlinear dynamics we are using here? It is the theory of chaos. I don't know whether you are aware of the chaos theory or not. It is a nonlinear chaotic map where both left hand side and the right hand side are the function of same variable. Where using that we used to go for generating the random number, random binary number. But you know that in all cases, any logistic map or nonlinear system or chaotic map always generate a real number. But we need a binary number. Then we shall go for a two-step process. The first step is to generate the real number. Then a mapping function will be used to generate the binary number from the map number, and then followed by we use 3 tests. It is not given in this slide. What are the tests? It is called the monobit test, it is called the serial test, and it is called the Poker test. Monobit test used to test each bit for 0 and 1 and probability for that 0 and 1 to be 50%. But you see, suppose I have 10-bit binary number. So I have 5 1 followed by 5 0. It will give the result that we have the 50% 0 and 50% 1. But this is a completely biased system. Then we go for the serial test, used to test 2 bit at a time. Then we go for 2 to n by 2 bit using Poker test. And then it used to give a number which really random. And using that, we are mapping these ACs. You see that these are the real number, bit generators of the chaotic function. Then we are generating the bits. And these tasks are mapped to allocation of the register. We have a register. So from there, we are mapping the task to generate our randomly generated ACs. And then after that, we are going for the Huffman trees and then generating the confidence level to the higher. And as a result, reaching to the mastery. So then the proposed model of augmented confidence-based learning, what I have presented at the beginning, it has been changed. How it has been changed? You see that we are incorporating the LRS, we are incorporating the DSM and management of task and ACs, and we are diagnosing the deficiencies using LRS. So your diagnose, update, prescribe, learn, all phases are in a cycle using the structure of LO, DSM, LRS. So I can achieve the mastery in authentic learning. So what are the achievement of this system? Whatever I have discussed. So a new structure of learning object with various subcomponents, it has been defined. A novel 2D assessment techniques are incorporated. A new process of integrating learning record store within the diagnosis phase has been incorporated. A new methodology of decomposing the task into atomic competencies and the efficient management of ACs with dependency structure has been incorporated. An incorporation of nonlinear technique for diagnosis using chaotic function. It's a good methodology. Integration of assessment of task and IOs in authentic learning by mapping on-job activities. So based on above achievement, we can say that we can have a comprehensive model for confidence-based learning. So what are the conclusions for confidence-based learning? This objective is proposed model of ACBL that boosts the knowledge and confidence level of the incumbent in a critical situation. And this proposal, the candidate integrate the LRS to diagnose his level of confidence, to identify the deficiencies and prescribe the content. That means the content modeling for a learner. That is automated content modeling of a learner is very efficient for this. And we can incorporate the authentic learning or learning in the world of work or real world is also incorporated. So these are some of the methodologies for confidence-based learning. These are some of the publications from our lab. So thanks a lot for this phase. Now I will ask for questions, if any, so that we can answer. I can try the questions. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So any questions now for this phase? We can give a break of 5 minutes or 10 minutes as you like.
Yes, yes, sir. We can take a 10 minutes break, sir.
Okay, fine. So now I think 4:22. So we shall start again at 4:30.
Recording in progress.
So, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
May we start now?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. Okay. No. So now, in this phase of the lecture, I'm going to address the intelligent assessment framework. That means, till now, whatever assessment we have gone for, it is for the learning, to prescribe the learning content. My screen is visible, no? Please, someone
Yes, sir.
comment. My screen is visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So, okay, thank you. So, we are going to design an intelligent assessment framework.
ಪದ್ಮನಾಭ ಶೆಟ್ಟಿ ನಾಳೆ ನೀವು ಟೀಚರು ಈಗ
Okay.
ರಾಘವೇಂದ್ರ
So,
ಶೆಟ್ಟಿನು ಅವರು 21
so all are requested to please mute it. Okay. So, because of this e-learning based systems, it's lead to ubiquitous learning nowadays, and this lead to the development of technology enabled learning. So, it is a flexible learning environment, and mostly our systems and automated systems are involved here. So, technology enable better outcome based learning. And I can go again for learning both in synchronous and asynchronous mode. So here, it enhances the skill set and skill gap analysis. And we are using electronic system and web-based system for e-learning. And based on that, we are going to propose a assessment technique. So, based on the technology available learning, the requirement of new assessment model is required. So, e-assessment or automated assessment, the use of information technology in various form of assessment. So, we are not going for MCQ based assessment. We are going for comprehensive assessment. So, some type of e-assessment include the multiple choice, online, and different types of online assessment is there. Yeah, of course. Now, what is assessment? The formal definition of assessment is the act of assessing someone or the user based on some criteria. This is the definition of the assessment. So, on teaching and learning system, TLS, it is a systematic approach, making inferences about the outcome of the learning and development of a learner status. So again, I can use this learning to improve the performance of a learner by defining, selecting, designing, collecting, and analyzing. So we are talking about the assessment in education here, not in other cases. So you evaluate and take the measure based on some document. This is your learning. And this is systematic collection of data and information about the learner and review with respect to the educational program. And what is the basic intention? The basic intention is just to evaluate the learner and to improve the learner status, or to generate a status about the learner. So there are various synonyms on the assessment. What are the synonyms? The synonyms may be evaluation, judgment, appraisal, rating, gauging, analysis, estimation, reknowing, valuation, determination, like that. These are synonyms. Now I am going for assessment of authentic learning or learning in your school or college or educational environment. So the conventional approach of test and checklist are less relevant nowadays. Rather, more emphasis is given on learning process, acquiring and application of knowledge. So assessment of this learning in real environment is the engagement of the students to judge the ability of a particular learner. So again, we have discussed that the learning can be grouped into two. One is called the surface learning and other one is called the deep learning. So we have already discussed this. So the assessment may be done based on these two learning approach. So what are the type of assessment? It may be pre-assessment or diagnostic assessment, what we have used in the confidence-based learning. It may be formative or summative. So most of the cases, we are using formative and summative assessment. Confirmative assessment, continuous or quality improvement, non-reference assessment, criteria reference assessment, ipsative assessment. These are various types of assessment. And you see pre-assessment. What is called the pre-assessment? So before creating the instruction, it is necessary to know what kind of students you are. You see that in NAC, we have the slow learner and the advanced learner. So how do you detect the slow learner and advanced learner? That means you detect slow and advanced learner in terms of a class test or some aptitude test you are using. So your goal is to know your student's strength, skill and knowledge possesses by the student. So you can create this in your institution. This is the pre-assessment or diagnostic assessment. Formative assessment you develop. The goal is to monitor the students' learning to have feedback. Then we have a summative assessment. It's aimed at assessing the extent to which the most important outcome you can have as a learner. Next is conformative assessment. So in your conformative assessment, you are going for some assessment in your institution, in your classroom. The goal is to find out the instruction, whether it is still success after one semester or not. We have norm referred assistance. So it is the performance against an average norms. Then criteria reference assessment. It measures the student's performance against a fixed set of predefined parameter. Now, if-stative assessment, it measures the performance of a student against previous performance from the student, whether it is better or that is bad. That means you see that in your LRS based evaluation, this is some sorts of feedback based assessment. So normally we go for formative and summative assessment. So formative assessment includes the methods that are used in the classroom for evaluation of the student's comprehension level, which is an important tool to identify that how much concept a student has achieved. And this is also encourage the students to build their strength and overcome the deficiencies. And in formative assessment, the goal is to collect the detailed information that can be used to improve the instruction and the students' learning outcome. In summative assessment, methods are used to evaluate or assess the students in terms of academic achievement. Normally, in summative assessment, we normally do at the end semester. We are not going to diagnosis. We are rather going for evaluate. That means the summative assessment is evaluative. And it is the course outcome. That means these are evaluate the effectiveness of the course. What the method of summative assessment? We normally go for questionnaires, surveys, interviews, observation, test, project, like that. This is very standard. So now the assessment of authentic learning. The assessment of authentic assessment is the measurement of intellectual accomplishment by the learner. It is normally devised by the teacher. So authentic assessment tends to focus the contextual task. That means performance of the skill or demonstration skill, or what role he is playing, or strategy of selecting the items. So the assessment may be manual or automated. In the context of e-learning, the assessment may be automated. But normally we go for a normal manual assessment, maybe objective type, maybe descriptive type, essay type, various types of questions used to put within your syllabus, and students used to go for answer of that question. So same in terms of automated assessment. That may be objective type items, maybe short descriptive answer type items, maybe single sentence answer, maybe multiple sentence answer, maybe a paragraph or multiple paragraph, whatever we are using. So in your manual assessment system, it is one of the most tested system across the globe. So it depends on a teacher. When a manual assessment is there, there is some methodological system. We have COs, POs, we have the question mapping in various levels, and we are going for assessment. Nowadays, in terms of the Bloom's taxonomy, we are doing the manual assessment mostly. So what is the problem for that? you have to do manually. If number of students are more, number of participants are more, we have to go more rigorous way or more time is needed. So in this concept, we are coming for the automated assessment technique. That is automated assessment technique. The automated assessment involves the evaluation of learner on some form of electronics. Normally, it is performed over the computer and internet using a software application. Assessment using descriptive items, assessment using MCQs, evaluation of skills. These are the methodology. But it is very difficult to achieve in case of the automated assessment. But it is well suited for a large number of learners learning through the electronic media. So with this preamble, let us consider the endeavor of automated assessment. First, you see the MCQ. So most of the cases, you see the competitive examinations are there. Nowadays, we have the MCQ. We have multiple answers. One answer among the multiple options. We choose an options. You can go for some your optical reader, and you can automate your evaluation. But in today's concept, my proposition is not to go for MCQ based answer. We shall go for the comprehensive answer. Maybe single sentence, maybe multiple sentence, maybe a paragraph, maybe a multiple paragraph. So in that concept or in that context, we are going to evaluate the answer. Let us consider a single sentence answer. So we have prescribed some algorithm. Another fellow is working under my supervision for this automated single sentence answer. These answers are composed of single sentence and normally used to test the knowledge and comprehension level. The answer are normally simple sentence and evaluated using model answer giving against each item. This is the algorithm. You see that we have the input questions, then we have a file, build your XML file, you go for pause tagging, you compare with the model answer, you generate the similarity index between these two, this model answer and the given answer. Based on the similarity, you go for grading of the answer. That is the system of pause tagging. Let us consider the multiple sentences. That means your answer consisting of multiple sentences. The answers are for individual items. A list of keywords are maintained for individual items. Here, we have used the edit distance for evaluation of the answer. Let's see the schematic diagram. You have a answer in XML form. We have the provided answer by the candidate in XML form. We have the framework. What is the framework? The framework is that keyword or edit distance. Based on the edit distance, we have computed the similarities or what is the distance between the actual answer. That means distance between the model answer and answer provided by the candidate. So this is the algorithm. What is the algorithm? We have a question bank and we have the obtained response from the learner. Output, that percentage of correctness of the provided answer. I'm not going into details of that. So we are matching the keywords and distance from that keyword. If distance is shorter, we are see that the answer is more closer. So we have that per algorithm. So another methodology for multiple sentence answer is using the n-gram. So we have a concept of variogram. We have a concept of variogram. The technique uses n-gram to compare the correctness of given answer. Normally, a list of keywords is maintained for individual items. And the schematic diagram is like this. You have the model answer and you have the obtained answer. So we have the framework. We are using the n-gram and we are computing the similarity using the n-gram. So what is the n-gram? N-gram is that bigram, trigram, quadgram, like that up to n. See, yeah. So that based on all of these things, we have identified the research gap. What is the research gap? That the evaluation and prediction of the adaptability level of the students and the learner in the context of online education, that we are going to discuss. And there is a need to identify the critical learning parameter. And there is a need for automated assessment of subjective type answer. And it is required to minimize the human involvement. For assessment. And the need for automated scoring system for students based on subjective answer. So how we can achieve this? We can apply XAI techniques on ML models, predicting the students' adaptability, thus revealing the most critical aspects, that is learning parameter. And it is required to implement an automated assessment framework from answer type, it may be brief answer, and to leverage the implementation in such a way that it will employ or deploy the NLP techniques maybe pause tagging, maybe edit distance, maybe ngram. You can use the deep learning techniques for that, for evaluation and grading across the platform for various types of subjective answers. So it will be a multi-module framework model, which can be used in the field of authentic assessment. So our goal is to go for a comprehensive framework model for automated assessment and grading. Now, I will first describe the assessment of learning parameter of a students. Assessment of learning parameter for students, adaptability in online education, then assessment of simple sentence, assessment of multiple sentence, assessment of paragraph, then subjective assessment, then grading model, then analysis. These are some of the modules. So overall methodology, you see, you are collecting data through survey, you store the data, train the model, apply the trained model, apply XI algorithm to impart the model for your output, and you generate the critical learning parameter. That is the first proposal. For the experiments, random forest here used. We have used the random forest. And we have used lime and sap along with other feature in XCI. It's called the FEMEX for the experiment. And we have obtained the critical parameter of a learner based on some data set. So, how we are defining the critical parameter? So we have used various data set. The algorithm helps the identification of the critical learning parameter. So we have used the random forest, and methodology we have already used. And you see that we have used the 14 attribute available in the database of 1,205 students from Bangladesh. And all 14 attributes, what are the attributes? Gender, age, education level, institute type, IT students, location, load shedding, financial condition. These are the various parameters they have kept in the database. Internet type, device, network type, class duration, self LMS, adaptability level. And you see that we have trained our model and we have fed the data into our model. So
Sir, you are not audible. We are not able to hear you. Mandal, sir, you are not audible. Yeah, sir, you are not audible. Is it going on? I'm not able to hear anything.
Yes, the audio has dropped, I think so. Mandal sir, let us wait.
Hello. Hello. Is not audible, sir.
Will the lecture resume? Anybody has an idea?
No, not yet.
Hello. There are many interruptions, sir.
So will it start now? Or should we
Hello.
leave? Should we leave the meeting or should we stay back?
I think we will wait for some more time because in the morning session also Gaurav sir had called me because I was having vote of thanks and all. That is why. So let us wait for 10 more minutes or some more time. Gaurav
Okay,
sir will revert. I think so.
okay, we'll do that.
Without anything, we have to wait.
Hello,
Sir. Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
audible? So,
Yes,
so
yes, sir.
was it listened up to end or it has been
Something went wrong,
disconnected?
sir. Yes, sir. Something went wrong, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So I could not see after completion. So up to when it was discussed, I think.
Yes, yes,
As
sir.
a,
Yes, sir.
up to where it was audible?
Sir,
Now it's
MCQ
audible. Voice only audible, sir. There is no
Okay,
any
okay,
screen
fine.
sharing. Yes.
Okay,
MCQ
okay.
slides. MCQ slide.
MCQ slide. So then,
And
how long? I think 15
letter.
minutes or
Yes, almost.
may I share again? Let's share again. So I think sharing is again off. Can you allow me to share?
Not visible, sir.
No, sharing option is disable. Sharing option is disable. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You must let me share.
Uh,
I cannot share again. It's not giving me the permission. No, sharing is not enable.
रोल नंबर 4 सर को शेयरिंग ऑप्शन का ये देना ऑप्शन दे दो सर रोल नंबर
Yes.
4
Hello.
Hello? I cannot share the PPT.
Hello.
It is audible for me.
सर वो सेटिंग कहाँ से फिर उसको अलाउ करने का जरा थोड़ा गाइडेंस कर सकते क्या? आई हैव मोबाइल.
हाँ सर के जो सर के जो आइकॉन है ना नेम पर क्लिक करो और उस पर मेक द होस्ट कर दो ऐसा.
सर के नेम पे
हाँ क्लिक ऑन.
हाँ क्लिक करें.
हाँ उसके बाद मेक द होस्ट ऐसा ऑप्शन आ जाएगा.
पिन करो क्या सर को?
हाँ
देखो ऑप्शन क्या क्या आ रहे हैं. आस्क टू अनम्यूट, आस्क टू स्टार्ट वीडियो, चैट, रीनेम, अलाउ टू मल्टीपिन और पुट इन वेटिंग रूम.
होस्ट का ऑप्शन आना चाहिए था.
इतने ऑप्शन आ रहे हैं मेरे पास सर.
एक बार गौरव सर को कॉल करता हूँ. एक मिनट रुको.
अरे गौरव जॉइन होते मी तर बोललो आता.
हाँ ओके ओके ठीक है सर.
No, sharing option is still disabled. Sharing is still disabled.
Sir, just a minute. The person of HRDC
Okay, okay.
will solve your
Okay, no
technical
problem. No,
problem.
so you just tell me, then I'll do that.
Yes.
Yes, I have made you a co-host. Now you can share the PPT. So I have made you co-host.
Okay, I'm doing.
गौरव लेफ्ट व्हायचं का थांबायचं?
Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you are talking about the category of assessment. Okay.
Yes.
So various types of assessments are there. Is a prognostic, diagnostic, formative, summative, like that. So normal traditional or automated assessment is the, if you have the multiple choice, match the column, true or false. So this is the model. And what are the limitation? Limitation is that we cannot go for the comprehension level of the learner. So evaluation and prediction of level of comprehension is one important parameter. And so there is a need for learning parameter, and there is a need for automated subjective assessment. So it is required to minimize the human involvement in assessment. So automated assessment and the scoring system is the need of the hour. So we are using the NLP techniques like pause tagging, edit distance, n-gram to evaluate this. Also, we are using the deep learning methodology for evaluation of comprehension-based learning. And the module we are proposing is the multi-module framework. So the assessment systems, what we are going to discuss is that assessment of the learning parameters of a students based on some database. Assessment of single sentence, multiple sentence, and paragraph based answer. And grading using deep learning or models. So what are the methodology for assessing the learning parameter? The solution is to assessment of the learning parameter using ML model along with XAI. So you see, you are collecting the data, you are storing the data, you are training the module, you apply the train module, and you are applying the XI algorithm, and you are identifying the critical parameter. These are the steps. And we are using the random forest. We are using line and sharp. And our output is to generate the critical learning parameter. So, what are the attributes of the data set? We have used 14 attributes of the data set. And number of records are 1205. And these are available from the Bangladesh standard database. And what are the attributes? Gender, age, education level, location, load shedding, financial condition, network type. These are the methodology data. So we have seen that the prediction probability we have received from this model is 0.78. That means 78%. With the full confidence that adaptability level is moderate. And along with that, you see, we are also analyze the critical parameter. We have used the SAP model, and we are getting that class duration, financial condition, and the these are the data: class duration, location, institution type, and financial condition. These are 4 critical parameters getting more importance. Now, let us consider that assessment of soft answer type question. The methodology in the conventional assessment, we are only considering the MCQ. So the questions are formed as a simple sentence. We are going for XML generation, we are going for XML parsing, and we are going for analysis. We have already discussed this algorithm, so I am skipping this algorithm. You see that we have taken 1000 questions. Simple short answer type questions is given the accuracy of 100%, and sentence with 2 or more verb. For single verb, it is 100%. And the sentence with 2 or more verb, it is slightly less than 100%. So, if we go for the learning approach, you see that better support for surface and deep learning in terms of the short type of answer, level of comprehension is good, and evaluation of the problem domain is good. Now let us consider the multiple sentence answer. So if we go for the multiple sentence answer, how do I go for it? So we can go for edit distance. We can go for n-gram. You see that keywords was a bag of words. We have the sample answer, and we have the provided answer, and we are continuing computing the distance. If distance is less, then correctness is more. You see that there is a comparison between single sentence and multiple sentence. Level of comprehension is better Learning approach is also better. Human interaction is less. Evaluation of the problem domain is the real world problem domain. Improvement is better. So what are the state of the requirement for the subjective assessment? The principal challenges for the framework for subjective assessment may be the sentence, gathering of sentence, section and the paragraph, and how the student is writing the answer to generate the XML. Let us consider the paragraph based assessment. Here we are using an n-gram technique. What is the n-gram technique? N-gram are the used in statistical natural language processing. That means n equal to 2, n equal to 3, n equal to 4. It will go on. From a sentence, it will collect the word in that form. Let us consider that n-gram. You see, this is a sentence. This is my single sentence. So if you go for the unigram, this is a sentence, all singular. Then if you go to the bigram, then this is a sentence. Then if you go to the trigram, this is a sentence. So then we are going for a membership function of that. So this is the membership function in the lower line of this method. So how do you implement? We implement the questions and the model response for each item. We are keeping as a record as a text file, and delimiter is used as a hash. And different content record is used to keep the response from a learner. And two records are utilized to map the acquired response and the model response and the similarities. You see, this is the n-gram for a paragraph based assessment. Yeah, this is the algorithm. So this was a paper, and it was presented in an international conference as Thailand. And what are the comparison of the present and the available technique? It is a better comprehension, better assessment, less overhead, reduction in assessment time, and assessment in real world problems. So from here we can go for the grading based on the similarities. You see, we have done it for 1000 questions. So now let us consider the assessment and grading model. You see that we have the classified question in question bank, we have the questions, we have the answer classifier, we have the prediction levels for the analyzer, and we have the students' performance report as the output. So we have used the CNN and RNN, and we have achieved 95% accuracy. Now let us consider a delivery of e-assessment and grading. How to go for the proper grading? What we used to do? What are the components of the assessment, analysis, and grading? Actor, question, answer bank, obtained response, question classification, evaluation model, and report generation. Who is actor? The teacher, instructor, learner, and administrator. What is the responsibility of the teacher? Preparation of the question, classification of questions, selection of questions, and preparation of question paper. These are automated, not manual. Responsibility of the administrator, publication of the result, attendance, ensure the completion of the learning, publication of the result, and transcript. Question bank, it is an aggregated repository. It will be there. And answer bank, model answers is the aggregated repository. And obtained response, we used to take the obtained response from the candidate, and we used to keep and we used to generate. Now, prior to give the questions to the candidate, we used to classify the question based on the Bloom's taxonomy. This is the proposal. Then it will generate the questions based on the Bloom's taxonomy. And candidate will answer the questions, and it will go to the evaluation module. It will taking the obtained response, gradation of the obtained response, and analysis of the obtained response in terms of the evaluation module. And from there, we are going for generation of the report. So, you see, we are using the deep learning, we are using AIML, we are using CNN, we are using RNN for all these things. This is another research work of one of our scholar. These are the some of the lists of the publications. This is one of the publications published in Education and Information Technology in November 2023 in Asia, impact factor 5.5, and some other publications are also there. So these are some of the models and the process. So we can go for question answer. Let's go for question answer session. If you have any questions, I can go for answering for that. Over to you, sir. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, please, any questions? So this is in short, whatever we have gone for. So you can give my email jkm.cs@gmail.com. Anyone if have any questions, so they can go for it in the offline mode. They can mail me. I will be happy to answer.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No question? Was it audible? Ultimately, there is a lot of problem in communication. That is a
Yes, audible, sir. Yes, no problem.
okay.
सर
How
क्वेश्चन
do you
नहीं है
feel,
किसी
sir? Is okay?
हाँ
कोई
क्वेश्चन
question
नहीं
नहीं
है
है?
सर हाँ क्वेश्चन नहीं है किसी के सर जिनके होंगे
हाँ.
वो मेल पर आपको ये करेंगे मेल करेंगे मैं वोट
You
ऑफ
please
थैंक्स
email it.
ओके वोट ऑफ थैंक
Yes, sir. Yes.
कर रहा हूँ
Very good session, sir.
ओके
Okay, thank you very much.
ओके गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन what an enriching lecture it has been. Our gratitude goes to Dr. Jyotsna Kumar Mandal sir for sharing their has truly emulated our understanding of given topic. Our wonderful participants, thank you for your active participations as we concluded as a special thank to organizer and the technical team for their invaluable contribution. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. So may I leave?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye bye.
Can we leave, sir? Hello?
Hello.
प्रत्येकाचे छंद वेगवेगळे असतात.